guarantee. Autocracy.
Norms that have become pervasive enough need not consent in order to be bound. We are a country. We are the indigenous people. We don't need why international law cannot help us, because silence is consent. Generally, sovereign nations must consent in order to be bound by a particular treaty or legal norm, legal system like the United States government. We must consent. We do consent. The natives of this land, indigenous people, we consented by silence. Okay. However, international customary laws or norms that have become pervasive enough internationally that countries need not consent in order to be bound. We are a country. We are the indigenous people. We don't need to consent to say, okay, we want you as government. We want you as our government. We consent in other ways, okay, by saying you are not our government. We are the indigenous people. We are the Israelites, and we stand to govern ourselves because we have our own laws, which are the laws of the Most High God. And they know that, because in the edition of Esther, let me show you. Okay, here in the edition of Esther, let me pull this over. We see that these people know. Okay, what I'm saying, what I should have said is we object to them governing us. We push back. We rescind our consent by saying we do not consent, and they know who we are based on, the knowledge of this Bible, this same Bible here. They know who we are by history. We were cut off from history, not them. Let's continue. Who we are based on the laws that we keep, that we subscribe to. Okay, that's how they identify us. They know who we are. They can look at us and tell who we are. We are different from all the other people group on the earth, and we subscribe to that Bible as being our standard of living. Okay, let's just read it a little bit. Declared unto us. Let's see. Okay. Declared unto us, it has been declared unto us, these other nations, these other countries, that in all nations throughout the world, they know, they have identified, they pinpointed us just like we are pinpointing them now. We're not all one people. We don't all bleed the same blood. We're not all the chosen. Yeah. Okay, throughout the world there was scattered, declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered, that's a word that identifies us too. They scattered us. A certain malicious people, now they call us malicious for the laws we keep, that had laws contrary to all the nations. Every nation you go in, we got these people who say they keep another law. They have another obligation to keep this law, or else they die and be destroyed and stay under the foot of the nation that has them in captivity. Okay, you understand that, Christians? You understand that, people? Malicious people that had laws contrary to all the nations and continually despised the commandments of the king. Our laws are contrary to the commandments of these other nations, honorably intended to the commandments of the king, so as the uniting of our kingdom, honorably intended by us, cannot go forward. So them uniting all of their people together, all the people they bring to their land and come up under their government and become their, part of their state and their country and their realm and their empire, they can't go forward because we are protesting against them, upbraiding them for their education and their fake laws and their fake education of history, their fake interpretation of history, and the system that they set up to hold the sovereign people, another country. We are sovereign whether they recognize us or not as being sovereign. We are sovereign. Okay, that's what we're reading now. So intent, I cannot honorably cannot go forward. Jacob has Esau's heel. He has his foot. They cannot go forward. Seeing then, we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition unto all men. We are in opposition unto all men. That's what we should be doing now. What the Israelites and the prophets are doing out on the street is going back to keeping their laws. They can't go forward because going forward will mean holding us in as servants and slaves and to keep their system running. You understand now? Holding us as servants and slaves and voting in their systems and cooperating and complying. Why don't you just comply? Why don't you just comply? So much they want us to comply to their governing us and their jurisdiction over us that if we just don't stand still and get out the car and stand still and do exactly what they tell us to do at the moment, regardless of who they are, regardless of what authority they're in, although they descend from their authority here in the United States, from their position under the sworn oath, when they break their oath and go against the Constitution, violating our inalienable rights, unalienable rights. Okay? Seeing then that we understand that these people alone, that's why they say the biggest threat to any government, don't care who it is, wherever you are, the biggest threat to any government is, let's read it again. Seeing the biggest threat to any government is these laws, these people keeping these laws. See, so another thing I wanted to interject here, when they get out, and when they come up on you with no identity, as long as you can see their skin, what they're saying is you don't have to know who we are. As long as you know we are white people. We are the white people. You don't have to have identity of what headquarters we are from and where to file your lawsuits. Your lawsuits ain't going to be no good when we come up on you because we are white people. We have coup d'etat your government. We have authority over you. And we'll forget the Constitution. That's what they're saying. Okay? They don't have to identify themselves because you can see their color of their skin. So they are going by skin color. They are using the jurisdiction they have over you is given authority to them by their skin color, their nationality. They know who they are. And we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition to all men, differing in the strange manner of their laws. Their laws. It's the laws. It's our laws is what they're trying to keep us from keeping. Why? Because they know when we keep our laws, the Most High will come and fight for us. You get it now? You get it now why it's so important for us to keep our laws, not to vote, not to be a part of their political system, not to join their countries by our silence. Okay, we're going to get back. We're going to get off here and get back. Well, let me finish it. Differing in the strange manner of their laws, and evil affected to our state. They call it evil. Which is evil to them when we keep our laws. They call us keeping our laws affect them, their state of being, their political state, economic state. We hurting everything. Look what's happened to America. When we say we're not a part of your nation. You don't want us to be. You taking all our resources. We know what you did to our ancestors. Okay, you get the picture. Working all the mischief they can that our kingdom may not be firmly established. They said we working against them when we when we take our sovereignty back, our God-given rights, our human rights on the earth. We're gonna go through some of that right now. Let's see. Let me get back over here. Now, this is what we're doing by voting in their system, right? Okay, we showed you international law. Okay. Generally, sovereign nations must consent to be bound by a particular treaty. The treaty, which they say which is Jim Crow to us. Okay, the treaty, Christian Code, Jim Crow. United States, our government. They're our governors. They are our government. Okay. Or legal norms. Legal norms. See, they're not laws, but they're legal norms. In other words, they draw. They are just customs. Customarily we have drawn these. That's what they're gonna say. We draw these norms up. This is what we normally do because y'all are not united. You dishonor your ancestors. You're not in proper persona because you're not claiming a nation. You're just black people out here going along with whatever we tell you. Up some legal norms. This is what we know. This ain't constitutional. We know this breaks the treaty between the colonizers and the indigenous peoples government, the peace and friendship treaty, and all the treaties we broke. We breaking them because we created some more norms since we severed y'all from being a government. We severed you is by taking you in our schools and educating your children and we created a coup. We took over your governing yourselves, and because we put you on reservations. Here's how they did it. They put us on reservations, made us give up our guns, and made us victims of their jurisdiction. They killed our food sources so we couldn't go out and hunt. Then they made it illegal to hunt the food that was already roaming, like the deer and the antelope and stuff. They put all their they placed in the territory where these deer and antelope and everything we could eat, all our clean foods, they control that. They control the territory that they roam in. They're not big territorial animals, deer and cantaloupe and all of that. They usually stay for a lifetime, their lifetime in about a mile or two radius. A mile. Deer are supposed to stay within a square mile radius all their whole life. They don't travel out unless something chase them out of their territory. So it was easy for them to Montana and all the rural areas create cities, and the deer would stay on the outside, and then they get their little communities and place them out there and claim the land, so we can't go out there and hunt. They said, this is my land, you can't hunt on my land, So they corralled us, and they took our food sources away, natural food sources away, and made us shop in their supermarkets where they provided biological degrading foods for us to eat to gradually kill us, destroy us. You get it now? Okay. So these are norms that they created, a system of racism that have become pervasive enough internationally that countries need not consent in order to be bound. Now, we are a country and we don't need to consent because they created these systems and and uh, and place their people in certain territories that we couldn't function normally in as a sovereign country. And we had to go to them for everything. That's one of the curses in Deuteronomy 28:15. We had to go to them for everything. Now, did God do it? No, God didn't do that. He allowed them to do it because they have government power over us. They govern us. We went to them, we consented to them, and we went to them instead of turning from our evil that we done against God and our covenant with Him. We kept continually trusting in the devil, our enemy, to provide for us. And we never repented and came back to God and made supplications with Him. Look at 1 Kings 8:40. I think it's 42 through 52, 47 through 52. It tells us how to return to God. It tells us how to return to God. Okay, I won't be here much longer. So you go ahead and read this. This is going to tell you what your silence, not claiming your heritage here in this land, your sovereignty, General Yohana, Nathan, and all your crew, y'all's wicked crew, your wicked crew, right? When you make these people your government, then you are just as bad as the Israelites when they asked for Saul to be their king. You anger God. Okay. Let's see. Okay. When they set this system up, they don't need your consent to govern you. All you have to do is follow the signs and the fake laws, and never contest or push back at their fake laws and say, hey, that's not the law of the land. Okay? And so all that is needed is that the state has not objected to the laws. See what I'm saying? All that's needed now is to make sure you don't object to their laws. Right? Whenever they see you about to object, they lighten up on you, or either put on pressure. Right now, their tactic to create more fear in the younger people is not working. So they have to turn up the heat, or either they got to back up and give you some stuff. You're gonna see either they're gonna, just like right now they're saying, okay, you won't need license to drive. That's going nationwide. Okay, you don't need a gun permit. That's going nationwide. Okay, what's that other thing they're doing? Okay, let's see. So they're not gonna be able to stop your vessels anymore. So they reintroduce some of the articles of the treaties in your life, so you can get that idea out of your head to come back to being sovereign. Two things happen when you come back and gather together being sovereign, and the Most High knew it, and He told Hosea that this would happen. It's going to happen. Prophecy is going to happen. We're going to come out of her government. We're going to gather together first. Then we're going to say, you're not our government. We're going to have the power to resist, because we're going to all be one nation again. Look at that crowd that just gathered in New York. You know what I mean? Look, it was back to back like at a rock concert. Back to back people. Miles and miles of black people on the streets. They call themselves black people. We know who they are, Israelites. And the copper colored people here in this land. See how they pack the streets? How is a military gonna go in there, boots on the ground, all of a sudden, and just, those were older people. That's the baby boomers, people that ain't gonna fight, they march, right? The people that ain't gonna fight, they march. The only way they really, if you get a crowd of people, the baby boomers, they are the biggest population that ever lived on the earth. The baby boomers at one time. They were born all at one time, in one era, one generation, baby boomers. But we still outnumber them like the sands of the sea. We outnumber them like the sands of the sea. And they know that. And they know that. They can't bring an army together with boots on the ground and fight that many people with guns in their hands. It's impossible. They can't load their guns fast enough. So we won't have to use that kind of force against them. But what we're doing is resisting by not consenting, by saying we do not consent. This is not a contract. Inducement to file. We do not consent. The Clearfield document. Look at the Clearfield document. I've been telling you how they descend from citizens when they break the Constitution. They descend from our officials because we are a two-party state. We just submit to their governing, right? But look at the Clearfield document, document, look it up, and you'll see how they can descend when they break the laws and constitution. It's called insubordination. And when you say, I'm not going to do it, you tell me. I had to learn that the hard way. A supervisor came and told me, one supervisor told me to stay here, another one told me to leave and come with him. I said, my first supervisor told me to stay here. He said, that's it. They brought me in. They said, that's insubordination. At that point, you said you don't work for us no more. And they fired me. Best thing ever happened to me. Okay. Praise God. I started my own business in commercial and residential remodeling, and I haven't looked back. Thank you. Okay. So, however, okay. All that is needed is that the state has not objected to the law. If you don't object the law, the state, meaning the people, the empire, I'm gonna try to show you what that country and state and all that means, right? If I have time, let's see, 20 minutes is gonna probably have to be enough. Or maybe I'll get in another video and show you. However, states that object to customary international law may not be bound by them unless customary. It means they're not real law. It's just customs. They're just customs, things they normally do, and that they shouldn't do. It's illegal, but they do it, and you go along with it. Customary international law may not be bound by them unless these laws are deemed to be just and cogent. However, in a dispute with any nation that has not affirmed the silence implies consent. Not affirm the silence implies consent. They don't know about it. A lot of us don't even know the silence. That means you can opt out anytime. Implies consent. Principles involved in appeals to customs. You can appeal. Hey, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's why they ask you understand. Do you understand? No, I don't understand. I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking in legal jargon. You're talking not out of the regular dictionary. You're talking out of something you done made up, right? So I do not understand. Well, you need to get a lawyer. No, I understand that you're talking in legal jargon. I don't need a lawyer. You need to tell me what jurisdiction you're operating. Who gave you jurisdiction over me? Because you got legal jargon. I got common sense law dictionary, Webster dictionary. That's all I need. Whatever you done created, pig Latin and all that jailhouse talk you doing, that's you and your people. But I'm from another country, and I do not consent to you governing me because I'm sovereign on earth just like you are. I have unalienable rights, inalienable rights. Okay? I'm a human. I'm not some corporation standing up here. I'm going to show you that right quick. I got to show y'all this, man. I got to show y'all this. Let me stop. See, so we have to develop principles within our race, within our state, and within our nation, which involves principles involves an appeal to their customs. We have to start appealing their customs, and that's what's happening as we get and gain knowledge. We start appealing, and they're losing a lot of money. They're losing a lot of ground because we're not sleeping anymore. Such that if that nation does not espouse the border, is that exposed? That's espouse the border premises and acknowledge the existence of a customary international law. Such an appeal will depend on circular reasoning. Did we go through that? Let me look at it right quick. Circular reasoning. Okay, circular reasoning. It's Latin. Circle in providing. Also known as circular logic. Circular logic. Okay? Circular logic is a logic fallacy in which the reasoning begins with what they are trying to end with, right? What they're trying to end with. So circular reasoning, when you got to figure out why these people are doing what they're doing, right? Circular reasoning is not a formal logic fallacy, but a pragmatic defect. It's not practical, it's a defect because it takes you off of the norm, international law, meaning human rights, meaning everybody have the right to govern themselves, and then they show you why they have the right to govern you because they made some laws, they made some new laws, and it's not pragmatic, it's not practical that you would stand up and let a man come to you and say, well, I made some laws for you, and I want you to keep them because, it's customary, and everybody else is doing it, and we, in this territory where we got our stations and police stations and all that set up, we're going to enforce these customs. Nothing you agreed to, it's just we agreed that it would be best for you. Ain't that a damn shame? Okay. Reasoning begin with what they are trying to end with. Circular reasoning is not a formal logical fallacy, but a pragmatic defect in an argument whereby the premises are just as much in need of proof. They don't have proof or evidence where they get their jurisdiction from, or evidence in the conclusion, right? They can't tell you, well, who gave you jurisdiction over me? Who gave you authority to rule over me? We took it up on ourselves because we got these big guns over here, right? We got that police department. We shoot y'all down in the streets, right? We can do that. Didn't we show you? We take your kids. We can do this. We powerful. You don't stop us. You didn't stop us. So evidently you consented. You didn't stop us. The first time they come to take your kid and to do something illegal to you, and you stop them, hint, and you stop them. I'm laying my head in a crook, so sinus. Okay, and you stop them, then they will really, they were going to stop us. We can't do that no more. Okay, evidence as conclusion. As a consequence, the argument become a matter of faith and fails to persuade those who do not already accept it. Other ways to express this is that there is no reasoning to accept the premises unless one already believes the conclusion. Yeah, you already believe that they are who they say they are. They are your gods and your guardians and your governors, and you're hopeless. The position of hopeless, post-traumatic stress disorder, post-traumatic slave disorder. What's that other one? All right. This is the definition of a country, right? You read through it. Read through it. I'm going to show you something down here. We are the Indian country. We are the people. They named us, and then they knew who we were. They came here. They saw us. They knew who we were. They know our biblical identity, but they put some people up, and then they said, this is who this Indian country and territory, native sovereignty. Let's look at that first. The word country also used, look down here. I'm going to put it up here. The word country is also used for the sense of native sovereignty, such as the widespread of the Indian country in the United States. We are not Indian country in the United States. The so-called United States are Esau sovereign, so-called Europeans occupying territory in our country. Okay, let's look at sovereignty, native sovereignty. Okay, aboriginal title. This is good. Aboriginal title is a common law doctrine. Common law. That's the Constitution, common law. Okay, doctrine that the land rights of indigenous people to customarily tenure persists after the assumption of sovereignty. After we claim our sovereignty, then this is what comes with that. We have the land rights and of sovereignty to that land by other colonizing states. We have the land rights when we claim. That's why they don't want us. That's why they keep us coming toward their system. That's why they got all those political so-called black people out on the streets in New York. We out on the streets 92%. Look at the video on YouTube. We out on the streets whenever Al Sharpton is out there and them old black people and just 2 or 3 white people out there smiling. Look at these black people. That means we're coming back under their slavery, okay? They're trying to lure us back in. That's why I'm so glad there was no young black people out there, really. Except for the young black people already gained a position in their foolishness. They recruited them young, like Cory Booker said. Recruit them young, get them like you got me. Yeah, so, okay, persisted after the assumption of sovereignty. This is what we get. To that land by another colonizing state. We gained all of this back, right? The requirement of proof for the recognition of the indigenous title, the consent of aboriginal title, the method of extinguishing aboriginal title, and the availability of compensation in the case of extinguishing, very, very, very significant by jurisdiction. Nearly all jurisdictions are in agreement that aboriginal titles is inalienable and that it may be held either individually or collectively, right? So in other words, when you claim your inheritance and when you claim your inalienable, let's look at that word. Let's see, inalienable. Let's look at that. Here it is right here. Improperty law. Okay. Alienation. Okay, let's stop and start all over again. Alienation, property law. We're going to look at it in property law. This is what they give us. Okay. Is the voluntary act of an owner of some property to convey and transfer the property to another. An alienable Alienability is the quality of being alienable. You can okay, is the quality of alienable. The capacity for a price or property or a property right to be sold, otherwise transferred from, okay, that's, so they gave us alienable. See, this is Wikipedia. They full of crap, man. This part is full of crap. What we want is unalienable. Means you cannot sell, you cannot, can't nobody steal it from you. Let's go back, because this is Wikipedia, remember? Aboriginal common law doctrine, titles, okay? Okay, we're back here. Requireable proof, recognize Aboriginal title, inalienable rights. Let's go there. That's where I thought we were. They went to alienable rights. See, we were supposed to be inalienable. Okay, here it is down here. Some objects are now regarded as inalienable rights, inalienable for becoming property, and thus termed inalienable, such as people and body parts. Aboriginal titles is examples of inalienable. Aboriginal titles is one example of inalienable. So, in other words, they can't take our land and we can't sell it to them. We can't sell them property in the United States, so they can't go and say, well, we bought this from the Indians or we bought this property. How did you get that land? If this is our land, how did you get title to it? Well, nobody stepped up and claimed it. That's the only way. But once we realize who we are and come back, then again, I'm gonna show that non-transferable. You see that? Let me read this, man. Some objects are now regarded as inalienable for becoming property and thus terms inalienable, such as people and body parts. You can't own us. Real people. If you make us out of corporation, then yes. Aboriginal titles is one example, inalienable, saved to the crown. Okay? In common law, jurisdiction, you can't take jurisdiction, because common law says that people coming with a crown and coming saying we are government, they can't take jurisdiction over you. A similar concept is non-transferable. You can't transfer it. They can't buy it. They can't steal it. You can't force. They can't force you to buy a license to keep your rights. Your God-given right. Well, you gotta get a license to drive. You gotta get a license to own a business. You gotta get a license to use these resources, such as tickets. They can't give you a ticket for nothing. Rights commonly described as a license or permit are generally only personal and are not assignable. You can't assign these permits and sign these customs that we got to do in order to operate in our unalienable rights. However, they are alienable in the sense that they can generally be surrendered. They can take your license from you, right? They can take your license. Okay, so we're gonna go back here. Go back here. Let's see. We're gonna get on out of here. Indian country. Let's go to Indian country. We were at native sovereign territory. Let's go to Indian country. Let's read this first. The word country also used for the sense of native sovereign territory, such as the widespread use of Indian country in the United States. The term country in English may also be weld to describe, bewildered to describe areas, rural areas, or used in form countryside. Okay, so yeah. Let's go to Indian country. Indian country is any of self-governing Native Americans or American Indians communities. Through self-governing, excuse me, we have to become self-governers because we are natives, we are indigenous to this land, so we must become self-governing. That's what Hosea meant when they said they came out. They gathered and then they came out of those jurisdictions. They came out, they claimed their sovereignty back, General Johanna and Nathaniel. They did not follow these customs that they call the law of the land, because the law of the land is common law, meaning every man has been given dominion over his own life, and he can unite with his other countrymen, his other brothers and sisters by bloodline, to govern themselves and form a government and a militia to protect themselves from domestic and foreign terrorists. Okay, so Indian self-governing Native American Indians communities throughout the United States, see, when they say throughout the United States, they are still claiming our territory and sovereignty over us. This refers to lands governed by federal recognized tribes and state. Federal, in other words, they got to recognize, they got to say, okay, we recognize you. So the people they set up is the only people, but it's coming now that we're waking up and we're claiming our sovereignty back by saying we do not consent to you having, total government over us, just claiming all the whole land and saying this is all yours because these people are asleep, they're feeble-minded, they don't know how to govern themselves, and they're asking us and our government over here, they're asking us for our stuff, when it's really our stuff that you have stolen, and we asking you for some of it back. That's what the Social Security is for, right? We paid into that. We work for you, and you put part of the money we earned from our hourly wages, you put part of that in there for our future, like we're little children. Instead of giving us all our money and our resources and those jobs you're supposed to be giving us, you should be paying us to own those companies in this land. We should charge you tariffs. Okay, so we're going to get on off of here, man. I don't want to bore y'all too much, man. All praise to the Most High. This is why international law cannot help us. This is a perfect time and a perfect day to be living in. Bathtub ready.
Dark Ages. No, 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 no. Ancient Trump. Northern Kingdom coming to Azareth, world ignorantly called America and Turtle Island. Jacob holding Esau's heel. Strange, strange laws. Taino Indians. The real Taino Indians. Siberian meet the true indigenous people.